Francis here from MTBR, and today is a special day. I'm going to show you two bikes, compare them together. How are they different? Which one is better? But more important, which one is better for you? Right here, dance, dance! Today we're gonna compare two big travel EP8 powered bikes, the Santa Cruz Bullit and the Commencal Meta SX. We're gonna go through all the different aspects of the bikes, and we are gonna show you some running video at the end. So we just got this. You know, this is the bleeding edge because the Shimano EP8 motor just arrived in US shores, and this just arrived. This is the Santa Cruz Bullit CC. 11,500, a very special bike, the second coming of Santa Cruz on e-bikes, and it has the EP8 motor. But really, what's fascinating today is a friend purchased this Commencal Meta SX, and the revelation, it has an EP8 motor as well. So what better way to compare these two bikes? So how are they the same and how are they different? They're the same because they're big boy bikes. 170 travel, and this one does it with a mullet, 27.5 wheel, 29er. This one does it with 27 and 27. So really very close, a little more travel here, but the front wheel here kind of equalizes it a little bit. The other way they are the same is they share the same rear shock. This is the RockShox Super Deluxe Ultimate, a very beefy coil shock, which is ideal for e-bikes. For e-bikes, you just want it as active as possible. So they share that. It went with a Zeb here, a Zeb with 180 travel from RockShox. So RockShox, but over here, Santa Cruz decided to go RockShox Fox because they believe Fox 38 with 170 millimeters of travel. So there's the similarities. They both do a SRAM drivetrain, SRAM brakes, XO here, GX here, Avid guides, a little higher end here, 220, 200 on the rotor, 220 on the rotors here. Nicer, little bit nicer components here with your Fox, the latest Fox transfer dropper post, and over here they have a KS dropper post, and they normally have a fabric saddle. We've left it pretty much stock. The only things we've changed is the saddle, the tires. Normally it comes with a Big Betty and a Magic Mary. We made that front tire a little bit bigger. This one is stock, completely stock, and the claimed weight. This is where they start to diverge from each other quite a bit. Claim weight is 48 pounds and change here, 55 pounds and change here. And one of the main reasons is because of the frame material, aluminum, carbon, very expensive, not too expensive. 11,500, 6,100, obviously manufacturer direct here, so no dealer. Put it together a little bit about yourself and you're off and running. Suspensions are very different, and we'll get to that as we get to riding impressions. So I've been riding this one, only had it for 2 weeks, but already have maybe almost 10 rides on it. First ride today on this Commencal, and it's been a fascinating ride. So hopefully we can edit in some footage for you. And what we found out is the motor, first of all, is unreal. It climbs crazy, super quiet. And what I'll tell you guys, what not a lot of people out there, is the motor is very responsive. And how is it responsive? Is it reacts very quickly on your pedal, a very good torque sensor, and it shuts off very quickly. You know, normally they shut off in about a quarter second by law, but I think seems like they shut off a little quicker. And we're talking milliseconds here. And so what that gives you is a realistic feel. You know, you don't get that delay and then that huge lag after you finish pedaling. You know, it really is the second coming of e-bikes, where you have quiet motors that are responsive a lot of torque. A lot of torque on these motors right in the beginning. You know, gives you everything it's got right in the beginning, and as you hit maybe 70, 80 RPM, it slows down a little bit. So really a delight to climb with, and a delight to pedal to technical obstacles. You can just drag brake, put it on turbo mode, drag your rear brake as you do switchbacks, technical obstacles, and this thing will hold you at a track stand almost as you maneuver it. Okay, the famous Rattle. What's going on with the Rattle? Both of them do have the Rattle, interestingly enough, and it's really just a trait of the earliest production of the Shimano EP8 motor. Why do they have the Rattle? It's because they optimized for low drag and low noise, and because of that, gears, bearings are moving around a little bit in there, and that creates the noise only when you're coasting. Something interesting is this has the Rattle, but it's a bit more quiet than this one. This one, you just drop it, as you'll see in my video here, and you can hear it. It's like a little rattle can. It really didn't take away from the experience. You know, it's something that it's like a chain slapping, but you know, it's going to be a personal choice for you guys if you want to wait for the next generation, or if this is not enough to bother your purchase. We're going to attempt to demonstrate the Rattle here, and we're going to talk you through what you're hearing. So right here you're going to hear a little rattle, and then it shuts off as we hit the motor, and then you hear that leaf. And now here's a clear downhill, and you're going to hear the rattle just a little bit. So it's not very loud, but it is there. And now we get to the meat of the order. How do they ride? So I've ridden maybe 20 e-bikes, so over the last 5 years. I'm not new to this, and these bikes are truly incredible. They're so supple, so beefy, but they're so maneuverable. It's like an oxymoron, you know, a yin yang. You know, they do them both. And so my big theory on e-bikes is why not? Why not have big travel? Why are you going to have a 130 bike when you can have 160 bikes, 170 bikes that handle well, that can take all of what you have to offer, or they can basically change direction on you. On the uphill, the biggest downside of travel is it's not a big issue. You have very good, very powerful motors here that are not a problem. So both of them change direction really well, mainly because of the 27 rear wheel. I like that. Shorter change stays. If you change your 29er wheel to a 27, you're not really changing your change stays. But these two bikes were designed for 27 wheels, so short change stays. So easy to change direction, so quick. This one has a mullet 29er. I like this better because it's a little more confidence inspiring. Even though the trails we did today didn't have the huge rocks, you could tell how much more stable it is, a little bit more grip. But this one is no slouch either. You know, it is able to just, maybe because it's 180 travel, a little more travel. It has we modified it to a 2.6 Magic Mary. It had no problem just plowing through the roughest descents. But I think if you have super chunder, big boulders and whatnot, you might want to might prefer the mullet a little bit better. So agility, this is the Agile King, 48 pounds, a suspension that suspends you, that has a little better platform. You know, it pops a little more. You can play with it a little more, but really this was a revelation because its suspension is more supple. It tracks the ground better than this one, and we were kind of shocked, but maybe not really. 4-bar suspensions. I don't know if some Horselink McPherson strut suspension that are really free moving really have kind of an advantage with e-bikes because they just suspend that big tire, all that weight with so much movement, and this one does it really well. Not that this is any slouch. This, I think, fulfills its promise with a coil shock, but this one is a little more supple. Climbing too, this one I think will climb will get you up those tech climbs where you have to do a lot of body English, no problem. This one will suspend you in comfort. So really, I was shocked. We both my buddy Derek and I were riding him, swapping bikes. We were shocked with this bike, how well it performed downhill and uphill. This one is the Agile Machine. A lot of money, a lot of bling factor, and it held its own. You know, this is probably the better bike, but not the gap is not twice as good. You know, this has lower price points. You know, the Bullit has I believe a $7,000 and change price point, getting close to this. But you know, you get bad components that are not as nice, and you get a motor that's not quite there. And really, I wouldn't get this bike without the EP8 motor. So wait for the EP8 motor. It's really so much better than the E8000 in about 8 to 10 ways that I can think about. And I'll make a video on that, on how these two motors are different. Some are obvious and some are more subtle. So there you go. That is my wrap up of this. A really great day in the forest. And what we have next is we're going to compare these two bikes to the Trek Rail, to the Specialized Kenevo, and to the YT Decoy, you know, with a little bit, maybe their upgraded edition, the one with a little more better suspension. So there you go. Thanks a ton. Woo! Here we go.
And here we go. Our test rider Ron is excited. This is his first 30 seconds on the bike on a trail that he doesn't know. But he's a good rider, and he normally rides a Kenevo. One thing cool with an emtb is all these punchy uphills. You just flow up them, and it becomes one big long descent. And right here is the Rattle that we demonstrated, and you'll notice that it is a Rattle because when we're on power, you don't hear it. Right there, something really cool with the Bullit, because it's so well supported. These trails like this become jump trails once again, where old e-bikes would squash everything like the Kenevo. This Bullit will let you jump everything.
Put on turbo.
Around is in the wrong motor mode. It's actually good to be on trail or boost. And then you have a descent with a lot of punchy climbs. So here, both these bikes really change direction well. They set up well for corners. 27.5 by mullet.
Right.
And you can just flick the rear tire.
Oh yeah.
You know, you just brake late and then change direction with you. Something really cool too with the Bullit is with its rearward travel path, axle path. It really goes fast on choppy downhills. Commencal has more travel, but Bullit has no problem. So the trick really with these bikes, because they pick up so much speed and go through terrain, is changing direction. Can you change direction? Can you see the turn, and can you change direction quickly?
Yeah.
With our 800 bars.
Jump here.
Jump there, and the Bullit really flies.
Looks like you're not the first.
So really progressive suspension on the Bullit. It rides like a smaller bike than it is, being a 170.
Right here, EP8 power.
Travel model. Right there, now we're on boost mode, and what's cool is we don't have to change gears on the punchy cars. There's less wear on the drivetrain actually. We're not changing changing gears doing big power moves. Right there, look at these bikes, snake to this thing. It's so turny, but these two bikes can handle the turns, and that's really the great revelation of the Bullit.
Right here, dance, dance. Oh, ha, ha.